Okay. Hi. Are you still there? You know, it's at the end of the day, right? Getting tired. I think they should serve wine now. Don't you agree? Or beer. Yeah, that's good, right? It's like the oil in the engine. Yeah, very good. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit why we are here. Let me position this. You know, in 1994, I made for myself a very conscious decision to work in a different way. I was working in traditional waterfall environments, and I just said stop. Then I started working in a different way, sort of experimenting, and the experiments were successful, right? You deliver on time, in budget, you have a happy client, and you think things go well. And it was like prototyping, and it was, you know, different ways of decision making, different ways of documentation. And every time I wanted to do a project again in that way, I had to strongly convince my client to work in this way. And I just couldn't get it because it was successful, and why didn't they easily accept it? You know, where we are today, Agile, we do it, I think, on every continent in the world. But still, I see so many organizations struggle to really get the benefits of working Agile, to really make sure that you deliver better business value earlier to your market, so that you stay ahead of the competition, that you serve your client well. The point is, it requires a different type of organization, and not just a bit. And if I say it like this, you think, oh, this is not what I came for, I know this. But it was this year that a large organization in the Netherlands was announcing that they were very proud to have implemented Agile without changing the organization. And this is, you know, raising so many question marks, you don't get it, right? So this is what we want to talk about. And when we talk about the liquid organization, what you see here on screen, it's the kind of organization that is really capable as a whole to deliver Agile value. Guillermo will come back to this more in detail. The most important one, I think, and if you're an Agilist, maybe you know, maybe you've seen one of those documentaries on National Geographic Channel where you can see the killer whales waiting in front of the iceberg and the penguins jumping into the sea. And the point is, you can wait forever, but there will always be somewhere a killer whale waiting for you. And in 1994, when I started, you know, working in this different way, and I was in meeting rooms with clients and with boards who have to accept the contract, they would not kill me, but it would be close, right? It could even be a, sort of a business kill, right? And I think the point is in doing it, right? And I'm not promoting Nike here, but let's do it is a very strong concept, okay? Not talk about it too much. Then I was expecting, yeah, here we are. Now this is for me very important because I see so many people still delivering or working in an Agile way, and they struggle to make the client happy. Something is going on. So you have a couple of people working, producing, but we still don't have a happy client, or we are delivering late, or IT department is complaining about the client who doesn't know what the client wants, etc. So we are delivering very often the wrong stuff and too late, and another sprint, and another sprint, and another sprint. And the product owner or the client is never happy. So there's something behind this, right, that we need to cover. Now, I think it's very simple. In my opinion, what happens if you deliver the wrong stuff, you don't communicate well. I always say I'm not very smart. I just have a bachelor degree. I like to keep things simple. And if you deliver something else than your client needs, you did not communicate well. Very simple. So can we find a way to do this? And the other one here is, you know, we know how to do it, but why don't we do it? Because we've all been trained, we've all been in master classes, we all, if we are lucky, have Agile coaches in the company, right? And still we fail. Who of you is an Agile coach? Who of you is an Agile coach? Right? Look at this. Half of us almost is an Agile coach, right? And still we struggle. So what's going on? Now the point is, I think these days, I'm checking my, yes, thank you. I'm checking the way we work in an Agile. What I think is essential is that we understand why we do Agile. And everyone is capable of saying it, but those capable to deliver it is really, those are rare. The point is, you want to avoid any kind of delay. But if you want to avoid any kind of delay, it means that you have to have a different way of communication. I want to give you if we start at the first one, if we have remote and written communication, which we still have if we have handovers, then in this process we get those interpretations and we get the misunderstandings. So the solution is very simple. We get the people together at the table. One of the things that I would like to say about Agile is about getting information at the source. This means that if you work for a client, that client has to give time and effort to the team to make sure that the team knows what has to be built and what is needed, right? And this is somehow still a problem. So we have very often still in our Agile way of working a lot of remote and written communication, or we don't communicate at all. I see people saying, and this is not a joke, we have a sprint to make the requirements, we have a sprint to do the build, and we have a sprint to do the test. This is the kind of talk that I hear. And you might say, hey, not in my practice, but this is what happens. So the point is, if an organization has made a decision to say, okay, together we are going to be Agile because we want to do an early delivery of better business value, what is going on? You see still a lot of redundancy. The redundancy that we see in organizations is based on old traditional models in organizations, the silos. And those of you who have been as Agile coaches in traditional organizations transforming might recognize that you have a silo for analysis, and you have a silo for build, and you have a silo for test, and you have a silo for whatever. And every silo has a manager, and every manager is trying to block the change. So what you see is that, overall we understand what we need to do, but at some moment in time, making the step to really change that organization and to make it happen is something, somehow, we are not capable to deliver this. Point is in timing that in 1994, when I started doing this, we had a saying said, okay, if you deliver a minimum viable product, 6 months should be the max and no more. Because after 6 months, the world is going to change. Today, 6 months is way too much, right? That's just to understand. I'll give you an idea. 10 years, I think it was 10 years ago, that the biggest telcos in my country were in 3 months on the edge of bankruptcy because of the introduction of WhatsApp. And this is a thing to think about, right? WhatsApp at that moment in time was a company of 50, maybe 55 people. The biggest telco in my country at that moment in time was 12,000 people. So those 50 people almost killed a company of 12,000, right? This is what we talk about. And today, things are going even faster. So what's happening at the moment is that we see that the pace of innovation is so fast that you need to be able as an organization to respond to it as fast as you can. It means that you really have to change the way you work, because with technology, not with the software, but with technology, we are capable to improve current jobs that we have and change them so that those jobs can go faster and better, or maybe even disappear. But there's another thing going on at this moment in time, especially if you are a current business at the moment. The technology that we have is capable to introduce to the market totally new business models that did not exist. And as an organization, if you want to survive, you have to be able to respond. I want to give you an example. I was in Europe somewhere talking to the biggest telco of that country, and I think it was like 7 or 8 weeks ago. And I said, as a telco, I was talking to a gentleman from the board. He is responsible for innovation. So they have a board of 8 people. His responsibility is innovation, new products, new services. And I was sitting with him at the table and I said, in 1994, you were making money with selling phone call minutes. And in 2004, you were making your money by selling text messages. In 2014, you were making money by selling internet access. 2024, you don't know. And he looked me in the eye and he said, Arie, 2020, I have no clue. And this is 13 months from today, right? 13 months. So when I talk to him, maybe a year and a half. And he's responsible for innovation. And he says, I do not know what will be the money maker in my company a year and a half from now. This is what technology does. So from that perspective, you know, I know that when we wrote the manifesto, there's this word software in there, right? We know. But let's replace software and let's make it things like products or services, that kind of words. And let's say that the capability of Agile to be able to deliver value to the market much faster than in the past and with a much better quality is something that you don't do as an IT department, it's something that you do as a whole. And this is where we connect to the Liquid organization. You know, the point is, in my opinion, if you really want to survive, you need to be able to respond to what's happening out there in the market, which means that Agile is a corporate capability to deliver very fast, very high value, you know, to either your clients or for yourself. That's what we talk about, nothing else. And I don't know, but in 1994, yeah, here we go. In 1994, it would, maybe where I live, it would be something like this, right? Where you have people working by hand. And I have this picture to emphasize that these days technology has entered any kind of business that you can think of. If you walk into a hospital, if you walk into a farmhouse in the countryside, because this picture is taken where I live, right? A couple of 100 meters away from where my current house is. And if you walk into that same environment, this is what it looks like today. And the point I want to make is that if you don't understand that you have to blend in all the entities in your organization working together on the corporate delivery to the market, you are going to lose. You are not winning the current battle out there if you have a very agile IT department and the rest of the organization is slow, bureaucratic, and waiting for decisions. Right? And this is where we touch on, you know, the Liquid organization. When we wrote the manifesto, we were with 17 guys in the room, and we had 13 different methods available. If you look at an organization, every organization entity, an element in the organization, has its own line of work. The point is in Agile, there is in Agile for every line of work, if you're in operations, if you're a service desk, if you are responsible for delivery of innovation, like the gentleman I was talking about. There are so many Agile methods and practices that depending on where you are in the organization, you can grasp from the Agile domain what helps you most. The point is, people in the company have to understand each other, have to be aligned. So as an Agile coach, but also as an organization as a whole, you need to understand these kind of principles and practices. And from there on, you will be able to deliver. Now, the point is still, if you do all this, what are the impediments to overcome as an organization? And for me, I think if I look in hindsight, I didn't realize when I was doing this, but I spent most of my time fighting this, what's appearing now on screen. I thought, you know, if I am able to do my projects, project after project, with a happy client, on time, and in budget, how come I have to fight again and again and again to, you know, get permission to work in this way? And those are the paradigms. And if you look up in the vocabulary what a paradigm is, it's a perception of how things are. And underneath I always say Agile is an interaction concept. It's very simple, but underneath the Agile principles that we have, the paradigms are different from the old way of working. And this is the major difficulty. Now, coming back to the Liquid organization, those are the paradigms you have to change. And what happens with a paradigm is, if you have the old paradigms define your reflexes under stress. And a reflex under stress means that if you do something for the very first time and it's not going exactly the way you like, what you do is you step back and you grab, you know, in old solutions that you had in the past. I want to give you an example. I was working in the Netherlands with a group of like 50, 60 people, and they had a large retrospective together. And after 2 hours of retrospective, the facilitator of the session said, guys, we have the solution. The last 3 sprints, we have been struggling with development. We have the solution. Now, before we go into sprints, we will make a more detailed technical design. And this is exactly what old paradigms do. They drag people back into old solutions and into the past. And that's a struggle. So this is where if you are an agile coach, but also as an organization, what you need to adopt. Instead of innovating backward, you have to innovate forward. Now, how do you do this as an organization? I would like to hand over to Guillermo. Guillermo and I, we met some time ago and we made a publication. It's available at the moment, I think. You published it on LinkedIn, right? And I even saw other publications this week around liquid organizations. Someone stole the work, right? Happens before. I want to hand over to you to talk about the liquid organization.
Thank you, Arie. Pleasure. Well, please. So, I propose you to make an experiment. Are you ready? Take your survey. We are going to see a video. You are going to listen to the music, and I would like you to write in the back of your survey just one word, the word that resonates into your mind, the word that you are feeling and you are connected when you saw this video. Ready? Paper, pen. Just write one word. Beautiful. So, we are going to talk about nature, because what if we think of an organization as a living organism? If we made that, maybe like a living organism is made of cells, an organization is made of some kind of building blocks. Let's call them dimensions, okay? So we have the data and the intelligence, we also have the architecture, we also have the products, the services. This is what is made of the organization. But if we made more zoom, maybe we can discover that there is some kind of DNA, what the organization really is. And it's related with people. It's related with people whose mindset, whose attitude, whose behavior are the culture of the organization. People that are involved in value streams. People that are focused on a strategy and that are led, facilitated by the leaders and working in a workplace. So once we realize that the organization maybe is like a living organism made of dimensions, and we have seen the DNA of the organization, we realize that this living organism is trying to survive in a digital jungle. Arie has talked about this. Digital jungle where experience-addicted customers want new experiences, technology are exponentials, and there is a lot of complexity, uncertainty. So this living organism is trying to survive in this digital jungle. So maybe we have to modify the dimensions, the DNA, to make them liquid and to enable the organization to survive in this digital jungle. And that's what we are going to talk about. Because, just in one sentence, the key message is any organization, no matter of its size, no matter of the sector of the organization, need to be liquid to become digital. Okay? This is the key message I want to share with you. And what does it mean? Because the point here is that if we connect with nature, there are some kind of essential principles, something that really rules the nature. And what are the essential, the simple principles that we can see in the data, in the products, in the architecture, in the service, in the people, in the culture, in the workplace, whatever? These kind of principles are the ones that we have to ensure that are present in the DNA of the organization to let the organization to be liquid, okay? So what Arie and me have made in the Liquid Manifesto, and I'm going to share with you, is try to identify these essential and simple principles, okay? First one is related with small and strongly interconnected. There is a lot of complexity in this digital jungle. So what do we do when we use Scrum? We break the whole product into smaller parts, strongly interconnected, because making this, we can adapt. It's better, it's more easy to, in a complex environment, to manage products like this, okay? But what about the data, the data? Data is not owned by an application. We decompose the data, defreeze the data into small atomic parts into a data lake. And what about the architecture? We talk about microservices, okay? Small parts, strongly interconnected. And what about the services and even the organization that has to be able to, okay, we have to, maybe you are a big organization, but you have to learn to be small, like a startup. Fail fast, learn, okay? So big organization has to be small, and even the people, the talent, okay? So the idea here and the strength is small, highly valuable parts, people, of pieces of features or user stories, whatever, interconnected, strongly interconnected, like in the cloud of Starlight. Do you remember the cloud? Moving together, able to adapt. Okay, first principle, small and strongly interconnected. Second one, is related with shapeless. Shapeless. And it's a necessary condition to be anti-fragile, okay? What means to be shapeless in terms of products? We adapt in each iteration. We learn, we adapt, okay? In the data is shapeless, no matter the format of the data, no matter where the data is persisted. The data is shapeless, okay? The architecture, no matter the operational system of the infrastructure, because there are abstraction layers on top of that make the infrastructure shapeless for me, okay, for the organization. And what about people? Suhari is an attitude, okay? You know the rules, you break the rules, you be the rules. So be shapeless. It's like the water. It's liquid people, liquid attitude, okay? And what about the culture of the organization? Let's innovate. Let's be creative. Let's assume risk, no matter if you fail, okay? Shapeless. And anti-fragile means that it's like in nature, the evolution. Anti-fragile is what remains after a lot of changes, okay? And this state of anti-fragility is what really enables the organization to survive, because it's strong, okay? Third principle, continuous flow. With the products, every iteration, value-driven, and delivering value in each iteration. Value is flowing into a service, single-piece flow, okay? Into data, okay? I have the data lake, I have a sandbox over that, on top of that, and I have my data analyst taking intelligence. The data is flowing into the organization. And what about the architecture? Microservices, I can provide anything that you need immediately, okay? Architecture flows in the entire organization. And what about people? Talent. Is people in a specific department? Or some organizations are trying to make the talent liquid, make the talent visible. No matter if you are in a department or whatever, or in a project or whatever, what is your talent? Your talent has to flow in the entire organization, okay? So, and the way we learn, and the way we share peer learning initiatives, okay? So the knowledge has to flow, the talent has to flow. It's the flow principle, okay? You see? Fourth one, aspheric resilience. I love this one. Because you know what? Water tends to the spheric form. Spheric means perfection. What do we do in Scrum retrospective? We are learning, continuous improvement. Okay? The same in the services, them in cycle. Plan, do, check, act. It's an attitude also. We tend to the spheric form. Also in the architecture, infrastructure as a code, Ansible, we define template, we apply the template, we improve the template continuously, okay? We improve our architectures continuously. We are looking for the spheric form in the architecture. And also in people, okay? Also in people, the attitude, the Kaizen. Think small, improve each day, think about what you can do to improve, not say, okay, we should do this or this other thing. No, just do it. Tend to your spheric form. And we have coaches, and we help teams and people. We guide them to discover their best version, because all and people like to be like the sphere, okay? So, making a recap. First principle, say it, small and strongly interconnected. Second one, shapeless. Third one, continuous flow. Fourth one is spheric, resilience. Resilience is the consequence. If I work for the perfection, I'm going to be resilient, okay? And last but not least, adequate viscosity. Viscosity. because this is related with, you know what, my organization can be solid, can be liquid, can be gas. Viscosity is the friction where I lose energy, the waste, okay? And I can be some kind of liquid organization, some kind of petroleum organization or water organization, or I can have so much viscosity that I'm stuck, people is stuck, architecture is stuck, whatever, okay? So viscosity is related with the waste, where we waste time, effort, frictions against the department, silos. I was talking about that, okay? So the idea here is to try to modify all the dimensions taking in consideration these principles. Because when we analyze the definition of liquid, liquid is made by small, strongly interconnected molecules able to flow, looking for this aspheric resilience. So there is nothing new. It's already in the nature, okay? So the idea is to try to modify all the dimensions, the DNA from the solid to the liquid state. And this is a liquid transformation necessary for a digital one, okay? Finally, the definition. What a liquid organization is. Liquid organization is made by small, autonomous, strongly interconnected elements, shapeless, to quickly adapt to complex environments. We are in a digital jungle of uncertainty that are able to flow continuously and are relentlessly searching a spherical nature under appropriate condition of viscosity. Okay? You can find all the principles here in the definition of what a liquid organization is. So, Arie, please. We have had the honor to put this into words. Arie has been like, your name, I told you, is like air. Aire, okay? He has been like air for this. And you can find all the principles, all the dimensions, all the things we are talking about in this Liquid Manifesto. And please, break it, read it, and then break it, okay? Adapt it. And I hope it's useful for you. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you very much.